Hey,
Hey Chris, how you doing? I didn't see
doing
you
good.
come in.
Doing good. Just saw the post on the podcast group.
Which one?
Uh, Podcasters Hangout.
Okay, cool, great. How long you been podcasting?
Um, Not on and off for the last, I don't know, 2 years. I haven't been serious about it until like the last couple months though.
Cool, great. What's your podcast about?
Actually, I just launched a new podcast. Dealing with the Friday the 13th movies called Return to Camp Blood.
Oh, cool.
And I drew a picture of it.
You drew a picture of it. Can I see it?
Hey, go get your picture. They want to see it.
I'll show you my picture. I'll be right there.
Okay.
She's super excited about that.
How old is she?
Oh, she's 7.
Awesome. That's great.
On my desk. So, which podcast do you do?
I do the podcast called The Podcasters. I interview podcasters and talk about their trials and their tribulations and their successes.
Okay,
Let me see.
this is my picture.
Whoa! Wow, that's scary.
All right.
Who likes that? I knew we would like it.
You did
All
a
right.
good job.
He said you did a good job. I got my headphones in, so she can't hear you.
Okay. But yeah, I interview podcasters of all makes and trades and different varying levels of success. And if they've had some success, I ask them how they got there. And if they haven't had some success, I ask them what problems they've run into to try to help come up with some ways to improve things for them.
Yeah, I was running a podcast before, and we're actually in the middle of revamping that one. And we kind of just banged around on different topics, not really settling on like a niche. So we never really got any popularity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to succeed when you're all over the road.
Oh yeah, I definitely found that out the hard way.
Yeah, it's like I tell people all the time, I'm not a huge NASCAR fan, but there's a reason why everybody follows in a single line until the very end.
That's true.
Yeah. You want to stay in that straight line, even if it's in a circle. You want to stay in that straight line to get where you want to go quicker.
Absolutely. Well, I started listening to Daniel J. Lewis's Audacity to Podcast, and he's really got me stoked about launching my new podcast. And I've been taking a lot of his advice and just trying to get serious about doing the podcast, and it's been working out pretty well.
Good. So, have you launched your podcast yet?
Yeah, we put our first episode up last Friday the 13th.
You put just one, or?
Yeah, we just got the one. I actually, my co-hosts are in different states, so it's been a real pain for me to get all the audio together because I didn't want to just use like the conference call phone audio because it's really terrible sounding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of what's been
Skype?
slowing me down.
Do you all have Skype?
I have not tried that yet, but I feel like we might need to do some testing with it.
Well, let me give you another product to test while you're testing. It's called PodClear, PodClear.
Oh, okay.
And the cool thing about PodClear is it actually records your audio on your computer, their audio on their computer, and then it marries the 3 audio files together. And when you download it, you actually get a mix of all 3 mics. You also get a solo of your mic, of their mic, of each of their mics. And if you have more guests, then you know it's the same thing. And it will record using Google Hangout or Skype. And the great thing is you get the audio of each microphone distinct and mixed. And they'll also do some light processing to it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because one of the guys, all he is doing right now is recording straight into his iPad because his laptop's down. And I've been able to clean up the audio doing some noise reduction, but um, how do you think it would deal with that?
They don't have a mobile app yet, but they are working on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's definitely something to look forward to in the future. Absolutely.
And Ringer doesn't have a desktop app, but they have a mobile app, and they're
Oh, okay.
working on a desktop. So one of them, beat the other one to the punch. I really love the PodClear product. Matter of fact, I interviewed um, one of the principals of that company on my podcast, and then I also did a Google Hangout webinar with the two guys that are the programmers.
Oh, okay.
And I'll give you my website, and you can go and find the links to that.
Cool.
But it's two really good sets of interviews about what PodClear does and is and where they're planning on going with it. They're supposed to be hitting the market with a live product the end of this month.
Oh, that'll work out.
So they're in beta right now, but they're supposed to hit the market with a live product by the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
And it's podclear.com. That's the website for them. And you can already go in and sign up, and you'll be on their waiting list, and they'll let you know when it's live.
Awesome.
And I love the product. Now, the guy with the iPad, that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
But maybe he can go to the library or something.
I've done some testing with my daughter's pad. It's an Android, so I don't know if it would work for the iPad. But I was actually able to plug one of my microphones right into her pad.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he could do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that might be something we could do.
Let me show you something. See if I can find it. I can't find it off the top of my box. It's called a iRig. Let me see if I can Google it. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, the iRig Multimedia, the IK Multimedia iRig mic.
Okay.
And it's about $60. And it looks like a SM58, a little bit like an SM58. And you can plug it into an iPad or an iPhone. And,
Oh, okay.
And when I was using it, I was working for a radio station doing news, and I actually used my iPhone as my record deck.
That's nice.
So,
yeah, I'll definitely pass that on to him.
It's a little handheld mic. It's got a power switch on it and everything, so it's a really cool deal.
Yeah.
Like $60. And the cool thing is it's got a plug for the mic plugs into the headphone jack, and then it's got its own splitter, so you can actually plug headphones into it as well.
Nice.
So you can have a mic, a handheld mic, and a headphone as well. So good tool.
Yeah, I'll definitely pass that on to him.
You can find it at let's see, Guitar Center has it, Sweetwater has it, Amazon has it, B&H Photo has it, Musician's Friend, Sam Ash. So, yeah, it's the IK Multimedia iRig mic.
Okay. Yeah, I got that up right now.
So, yeah, it's a good tool to have. That's a good tool for anyone to have that might be on the run, because then you get better quality than that little headphone that you get with the smartphone, and you get a little bit more control directionally and everything else. So, and matter of fact, a lot of people don't even talk about it, but Boss Jock Studio is an awesome app for your smartphone or tablet. and you can basically do an entire podcast live with sound effects and everything using Boss Chuck Studio with your iPad.
Yeah, I'll definitely pass that information on to him. Yeah. Well, luckily, the podcast that I'm doing, I've got like a built-in niche already, so it's been easy for me to get people excited about the show through Facebook and whatnot, posting
Good.
to different groups for the movie series that I'm doing it on. So yeah, it's been a good time now that I've actually gotten serious about it. Things have been smoother.
Good.
There's
Now, you said you had a built-in audience because of all the groups on Facebook. How are you reaching out to them? Let them know that you've got your podcast out.
Well, since I am a big fan of the series anyway, I'm always frequenting those groups. And when we're about to record an episode, I'll throw up a link to the website and say, hey, we're about to do the podcast on part 2. Are there any questions that you got any questions about the movies? Because the other 2 people that I do it with were really knowledgeable about the film, so it's been real fun getting feedback from the audience as far as like things they might want to know about it. And then I also post another link when I actually post the show, and yeah, it's been going pretty good. I mean,
so you're broadcasting live when you record the show, or
no, we're not doing it live. I'm getting questions before we record, and then we address them during the show.
Okay. Now you're just taking comments through Facebook or Twitter and communicating them that way?
Yep.
Have you considered setting up like a Google Voice number or something like that and having them call those and then play that audio back?
Yeah, actually, we do have a Google Voice number, but I only use that for, like, we run a little trivia thing at the end of our episodes. So, I say, the first person to get this trivia question right, you got a minute or 2 to speak on our Google Voice number about whatever you want about the series, and
Cool.
I've gotten a lot of good response from that as well.
That's great. That's cool. So you're using the Google Voice number to get actual listeners' voices on. So that's great because you're showing that you're giving some social proof to those who listen that they're not the only people who listen. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some other ways you're doing to build your community, to grow it?
Honestly, that's about it right now. I haven't had much luck with Twitter, unfortunately, which I'm also a writer. I normally get a decent amount of traffic for some of my written stuff, but as far as the podcast has been concerned, I haven't had much luck with it.
Well, I'm just going to tell you what I've learned about Twitter is it's not the best platform with which to grow a community. And part of that is because it's very hard to communicate with 140 characters.
Oh, yeah.
The other part is you have to be on Twitter at just the right time, at just the right moment to be able to communicate back and forth. And the other thing is you've got too many folks who are using Twitter to Twitter bomb for podcasts and things like that, and it makes it that much more difficult. The average lifespan of a tweet is about 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I know I don't spend nearly enough time on there to even make it worth it anyway. So,
well, I'll tell you a way if you want to maximize Twitter for what it's worth.
Hey, turn that down, please.
The best way to do that is to use something like Meet Edgar or Social Oomph or something like that, Hootsuite or Buffer to automate your podcast. I mean, automate your tweets, and then that way you can set them in advance and let them rotate, and then maximize the use that way. But the thing is, though, is it's very hard to interact with people when it's automated and you, quote, set it and forget it, end quote.
Yeah.
I've found I get more bang for my buck from Instagram although I'm not using Instagram nearly as much as I do Twitter or Facebook. But I'm getting a lot of response through Facebook groups as well.
Now, in Instagram, that's like the Twitter for photos, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm not real familiar with it.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is you can make all sorts of memes using the movie images.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so that could actually benefit you tremendously because there's a lot of fans of the movie series.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you could actually put your trivia question in the form of an image and actually do that in Instagram as well, and give a prize to someone who wins through Instagram and a prize to someone who wins through the Google Voicemail.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into that because well, for my job, I can't have a camera on my phone, and I just assumed that it was all about taking pictures and posting them. So
You can post memes, the whole 9 yards.
okay, that might be something worth looking into
What
then.
government agency do you work for?
I am a Navy civilian.
Oh, cool. What base?
What's that?
Where are you at? What base?
I work at Norfolk Naval Shipyard here in Virginia.
Cool. Awesome. I'm in Alabama. I'm familiar with with all the Seabees and everybody else down at Keesler and the naval base down there. I forget the name of it. Down in Biloxi. But then as far as Navy, I've got very few. Well, I've actually got some cousins that are in the Navy now. So most of my family's been in either the Army or the Air Force for the most part.
Yeah, I was active duty Air Force.
Awesome.
Before I joined the shipyard.
Cool. So you're doing a podcast about Friday the 13th, the movie series. So let me see, that's at least 8 episodes. Is that right?
Oh no. Let's see.
Well, I said at least. So.
Yeah, there's at least 8 episodes in there.
I forget how many there are actually, but.
Yeah, let's see. Jason X, that made 10, and you had Freddy vs. Jason 11, and then the newest one that made, I got at least 12 going. And they're set to release another one next year, so.
Good. So you got plenty of content, and you could probably go 10 episodes at least with each movie, so. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're set to work on a TV show this year too, based on it. So I'm hoping they do that because that'll give me more stuff.
Exactly. Well, not only that, then you can go through the the whole purist argument over which one is more true to the story. Is how bad did they I don't want to use the word bastardize, but I mean I don't know any other word to use. But how bad did they screw up the movies with the TV series? So that'll give you a lot of great content as well, a lot of great argument material.
Oh yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. I hope they greenlight it.
Well, and if they don't, then you get to complain that they don't have any vision and they're total waste of airspace. You can go through all that as well. So, yeah.
Well, and luckily for us, there's a lot of overlap in some of the other slasher movies, so I'm sure we'll eventually get to those as well.
Yeah. Well, so do you have any plans to monetize your podcast?
I'm running Google AdSense on the website, and I do have affiliate links for Amazon set up. Although I'm not sure I'm making that good of use of them because I always, at least in the first episode, I kept forgetting to mention them.
If you don't mention them, it's hard to sell them.
Yeah.
I'm doing I actually halted it. I'm about to restart it the 1st of April. I'm doing a series of podcast episodes and articles on monetizing podcasts, and one of the things that I've discovered is that one of the worst things you can do is not monetize yourself.
Yeah.
And here's what I mean by that. There are things that you guys can offer to your community that no one else can offer. So market. Hold on a second. So market yourself to your audience. One of the things that I did when I launched my Podcasters podcast was I decided I was not taking any sponsorship. I wasn't doing any affiliates. I wasn't going to do anything else but market myself.
Yeah.
And the advantage of that is I will make much more money off of me than I will ever make selling something for someone else. And hold on a second. Oh, I forgot to put the link on that one. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
What are you watching over there?
Oh, she's playing a game on her school website.
Ah, cool. Well, but yeah, I think we may have another podcaster coming in a minute. Too.
Oh, cool.
So, think about some things y'all can do, you can offer that would be, maybe it's an online series of webinars or something based on the movies or something. So, Hey, Charlotte, how are you doing?
Doing good, thank you.
Hello.
That's Charlotte Plaxo, and Charlotte has become a friend of mine on Facebook. And Charlotte, tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you're planning on doing.
Well, as I mentioned in my note to you, I have already, so I don't fit the criteria. I just thought I'd see what was going on your Hangout.
Well, that's okay. The great thing about podcasting is whether you're launching or not, there's always something to learn. So I'm glad. So what's your podcast about, Charlotte?
I interview entrepreneurs to have them tell their story of their business. So it's called Biz Stories Shared.
Cool. So, and how long have you been going?
About, I have 32 podcasts out there. So I've been going for a few months.
Good. So you're doing one a week?
Yes.
Great. Stephen, tell us a little bit about your podcast and if you've launched or not. Hello? Stephen?
I see his mic is turned off. I guess that's Stephen. Somebody's mic is turned off.
Yeah, I muted Chris's because he's got a TV show in the background with his little one, and I didn't want to I didn't want to have to compete with that, but I also know that Chris knows how to unmute his mic. So.
Yeah, I was incorrect. It wasn't the right person.
Mm-hmm. Regina's here too. Yay, Regina.
Hey.
Hey, Chris. Hold on, let me unmute Chris.
Taryn's here too.
Yay. Chris, did you mute your mic too? Did you mute your mic as well, Chris?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, I got rid of the sound. She needs to be in bed anyway.
Well, it was all right. It's Friday night, man. Let her stay up. What kind of dad are you? But Regina, tell us a little bit about your podcast, and then maybe Steve will come in and we can get him to tell us about his podcast.
Well, my current one is called Multiple Personalities, and it's for parents of multiples. I talk to moms and dads of twins, triplets, quads, or more. I also talk to experts and researchers in the field of twins and multiple research, and to adults that are actually part of a set of multiples. I took a couple months off. My mom had some surgery, and I have triplets, and I'm a single mom. So when my mom had surgery, it was time with them. So I took a couple months off, but I am starting it back up this month, and probably this week actually.
Yeah.
So
now Regina has
that's where I am.
Regina has triplets, and I've known Regina for gosh, has it been a year? No, not quite a year.
Probably
Almost.
like July or September.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
So Regina has triplets and have the misfortune of losing her husband to death very quickly after that. So it was after that, right?
Yeah, they were 3.
Yeah. So she's an awesome mom, and so I wish her a whole lot of luck. Let's
Thank
see
you.
now. I think we have Stephen on. Stephen, tell us about your podcast.
Hey guys, Regina, good to hear, and nice to meet you guys. I'm Steve. I'm from Chicago, and I am an RN by trade, and I am starting up the eNurse Academy and eNurse podcast.
Cool. So you've already got a product to sell with your podcast, right?
Well, my focus, and this is just kind of a pain point of mine, I guess, as most nurses and all healthcare professionals have to go through and obtain CEUs every 2 years, at least here in Illinois. I'd like to maybe get something around the social media and the technology aspects of the intersection of technology and nursing, and get a course for them. So that's
Cool.
kind of where I'm at with that. Yeah.
Great. So have you launched yet?
I have not. I'm just getting this off the ground and trying to figure out this whole hangout thing, and it looks like I got that part.
Well, the great thing is you're in one. Now you need to figure out how to create one.
Exactly.
And so that's cool. Now I will say this: for those of you who are in podcasting, want to get into the webinar type area, there's a number of great platforms. I like Webinar Jam. That's the one I use. It doesn't cost near as much though as Webinar. Let me see, Webinars to Go or anything like that. And the great thing about Webinar Jam, and there's some others as well, Webinar Series and some others, the great thing about those is they're all Google Hangout based. So now that you're in Google Hangouts, you're a little bit more familiar with what it is that it does. And the Webinar Jam just adds more functionality to it. So there you go. So I hope, Stephen, it helped you a little bit.
They can hear you when you talk. You got to be quiet.
Hey, Regina, you were mentioning the Multiples podcast. One of my other things, and I guess my proof of concept initially is I also have, my first go-around was the New Dad Guide. And it's because I teach an offline new dads class.
Interesting.
I've actually had a couple of dads with multiples, of course, got their partners to lean on and such. But yeah, that sounds cool what you're doing.
Send them my way if you still got contact. Tell them about it and ask them to listen.
I do actually have my list from all the dads that have gone through my offline course. That's kind of where this whole thing kind of started from as well. Is that they were asking for a community afterwards. Hey, can we keep in touch? Because it's only like 2 hours. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you everything you need to know about being a new dad in 2 hours.
Right.
Boy, if you do, I need to hire you. I'm a pastor, and I can't do it in 2 hours.
Very cool.
So all of y'all are in varying stages. Steven's getting ready to launch. Regina's getting ready to relaunch. Chris has launched his Friday the 13th series of podcast.
Man, I'm feeling kind of like the low man on the totem pole. You guys all seem professional and stuff.
No.
Wait. I guess I missed what yours is about. What is it about?
Oh, me and a couple friends of mine, we launched a show about the Friday the 13th movies.
I think it's awesome. I mean, look, I am glad because I'm really sick and tired of seeing all these professionals.
Well, if I had somebody to work off of, I would love to host like a Doctor Who or a Star Trek or some other sort of geek type podcast. That would be fun.
Well, if you get that Star Trek show started, let me know because I'm a Star Trek fan too.
Awesome. Well, we should connect and chat.
Let me just make you all jealous if you're all Star Trek fans then. My birth date was September 8th. Do you know why that's important?
Is that the day it launched?
Star Trek, the original series, launched on my 4th birthday.
Awesome.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Matter of fact, September 8th is really interesting because back when we were kids, they would launch all the new cartoons on that weekend around my birthday, either right before or right after my birthday. So I thought all the networks just loved me.
There you go.
Giving me all the new cartoons. So. But,
cool.
So all of you are at varying stages. Charlotte's been, a few months into it. Chris is just launching. Regina has been in it, then had to pull out and is relaunching. And Steven's getting ready to get all his ready to go and launch. So you're all at different stages. But what are some of the problems that you're facing, some of the big questions that you have that you want to get answered before you really go the next step?
Well, like we were talking about before everybody else joined, I host my show with multiple hosts in different states. So that's been a real big hurdle for me. So, I mean, I guess if you can speak to that again for everyone else,
Okay. Chris has 2 other hosts with him. It's him and 2 other guys. And his struggle has been the technical issues of getting all the podcasts together, getting them scheduled together, and the audio quality and all that. I recommended to him the product called PodClear. They're still in beta. They're supposed to come out of beta at the end of this month. PodClear is an awesome tool, and it's so simple to use. And Chris, I didn't get into the simplicity, but basically, if you have guests, if you're interviewing different people, you schedule them in PodClear, and then PodClear sends an email to your guest, and it has a link for them to download the software. It's a real small download, and then really all they do is then copy a PIN code that's also in the email, paste it into PodClear. PodClear then lets you know they're ready to start, and then you click Start Recording, and it now records on your computer and on each of your guest computers. So
yeah, that's really going to be helpful because right now the way we're doing it is I'm hosting a phone call with them through freeconferencecalls.com. I record that audio as a guide, but then I also have all three of us are recording our own audio on our own end, and they all send it to me.
Right.
And it's a pain in the butt to get all stitched together.
Can you not do multiple people on a Skype call?
You can.
Yeah, I know that you can do that. A couple of the other shows that I listen to who do it through Skype, I wasn't really, I didn't really care for the quality of the audio that came out, but maybe it's just because of the people that were recording it. I do plan on testing with that though soon.
Well, the reason that I asked is because I listen to a podcast called Verity, and it is 4 women. 1 in New Zealand or Australia, 2 in Canada, and 1 in the United States. And I think they have a couple other, but they switch them out. But anyway, they all use Skype, and they have 1 editor. And so she uses the eCam recorder to record everyone else's conversation, and then she does the edit on her end, and she already has the conversation because they were all 4 on Skype. And they sound awesome. She does a really good job, but all of their audio quality is great.
Okay, yeah.
Chris,
Yeah, I'm
you
not.
use a Mac or a PC?
No, I use a PC.
Okay. Pamela is another comparable product for PC. eCam call recorder. I'm not sure if they have a Windows unit or not, but I know at one time they were Mac only. But Pamela is a comparable product. I've had a few people that I consult with that are having some problems with Pamela. So I'll see if I can find a way to get you another piece of software that will record all of your clips distinctively on different tracks.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that will help you a lot too.
That would be helpful if you could show me that way, because we're having a good time doing the show, and I want to try as much as I can to get the quality up more.
Well, the cool thing about PodClear is it's on Mac and PC, and it will stitch the audio together for you, and then send you, as I was telling you, you get the mixed recording. You also get the recording of each one of the live microphones that's there for your show. And the great thing about it is you control it. If you're the host, you control it. You control when it records. You control when it pauses. You control when it starts back. The whole 9 yards. So if you hit
and it's in Pod. You're talking in PodClear. I mean, the call is in PodClear.
No, you're actually talking through either Google Hangouts or Skype or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But what it does is this app actually records the audio from your microphone into an audio file on each person's computer.
Oh, okay.
That sounds helpful.
When you click stop recording and it's all over, then what it does is it uploads those audio files from each computer to their server. Their server then mixes the audio, gives it a little bit of compression, and then you're able to download as many microphones as you had, all of those audio tracks, and one other track, which is everything mixed together. It makes life a lot easier.
That would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, and that's podclear.com. I wish they had an affiliate link, but they don't.
Is it a monthly charge, or is it something you buy once? Or
it will be a per episode charge, and they, at the time that I interviewed them, had not yet settled on a pricing strategy. But it's going to be low. It's not going to be your sticker shock type thing.
Got it.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, because I did some early testing with Blog Talk Radio, and that was just way too expensive.
Well, not only that, the audio quality stinks on Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to circumvent a lot of their stuff. Like, I know I listened to another show that goes through Blog Talk Radio, and he in addition to the Blog Talk Radio stuff, he records his own audio and then uploads that to his feed.
Yeah.
So.
And really, the only good thing about Blog Talk Radio is its integration of telephony with podcasting.
Yeah.
You actually have screened calls coming in. They have a call screener, and so you're able to do it more like a talk radio station. And that's really the only good thing about Blog Talk Radio. The bad thing is for the most part, you have to go into Blog Talk Radio from a phone, and so the audio quality sucks. And
I agree with that.
So BTR the concept is good. The application is just, it's not very good right now. Any other questions? Charlotte, what kind of roadblocks are you running into right now?
Well, actually, it's just the time doing the editing and getting the show notes done.
Okay, getting the show notes done?
Right. I know there's
I know a guy that can help you with that.
I know a guy too. But well, let me give you some tips on how to write show notes. Steve, I don't know if you know, but I am the show notes guy.
Good to know.
That's my business, okay? But let me give you a few tips on how to do better show notes.
Okay.
And the first thing is be prepared before you start recording to know what it is you're going to be doing, because that will give you the main headers, the outlines that you need. Okay. The other thing is to grab a few quotes, if you can, and write them down as you're listening to the podcast while you're editing. just write a few of the quotes down, and then put the time code where it is for your use, not necessarily for the reader's use, but put the time code down of where those are. Then when you get finished editing, go back and listen to the podcast all over again and write down some of the highlights of things that you learn from either you, yourself, or your guest.
Okay.
And then I always write initials beside who it is that I get it from if I'm writing someone else's show notes.
Good tip.
So then it makes writing your show notes a lot easier because you've got the content sort of in an outline form, just bullet points. And so then you've listened to the podcast now a couple of times at least, so you're familiar with the content. So writing becomes a lot easier, especially when you've already got these quotes and the high points of the conversation in place.
Yes, that's an excellent idea. I was trying not to have to listen to it more than once, and I realized it wasn't a possible
Well,
way to do it.
I can tell you a solution, but it will cost you money. I mean, it won't. Me telling you the solution won't cost money, but
Right.
you accomplishing the solution will, and that is get a transcription.
Right, and I know that is a solution. I'm getting better at it and able to do it. It was taking me so many hours, but now I can get it done. Yes, so I appreciate the fact that you're out there, Bill, and I know that you're doing really good work. But at this point, with no monetizing coming in,
I understand. And here's the thing. I try to explain to people all the time. I write 2,000 to 3,000 word show notes. My show notes are not for everybody, and they're not for everybody's audience. But the thing is the reason why I write 2,000 to 3,000 word show notes is because the grand scheme in what I do is to be able to give a podcaster a product that they can then publish later on. Because a 3,000 word show note per episode, 10, 15, 20 episodes in, you've got a book.
well, tell me a little bit more about that. Can you use those show notes then in a book?
Well, Regina, you've seen my show notes. Could you use my show notes in a book?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well,
You can use them as is. You can change them around a little bit, make them like story form. You can there's a lot you can do with them. He does a really good job.
I write I'm sorry. I'm a former journalist, and so I write in a news story type format. So it really fits itself well into a book type setting. But yeah, you can, if you write good enough and deep enough show notes, you will create for yourself a book. You just don't know it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I've been a blogger on and off for a long time, and so when I approach my show notes, I approach it like I'm writing a blog post. And then a couple years ago, I actually took a series of blog posts that I had done and self-published a book based on those blog posts through Amazon's Create Space. I mean, obviously, what I'm talking about doesn't have to do with my podcast, but it's in a similar vein.
And it's a good monetization strategy. You're never going to make a ton of money off of one stream of income, but it is a stream of income. And not only that, when you put a book on Amazon, you now have an author's page. Guess what you're going to put on that author's page? You're going to put a link to your podcast. You're going to put a link to your blog. You're going to put a link to your about page. You're going to put a link to your other products that you sell or offer. And so it's just one other way to get your name out there. Not only that, I had a friend of mine mention this guy. He's a good friend of mine, James Woosley. James published this book. Where'd I go? James published this book a year or two ago, and he tells me this is the best business card you can ever have.
The best business what?
Ma'am?
The best business what?
The best business card you could ever have.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you hand somebody a book that is about what you do, or about what you believe, or about how you can help their business,
I'm decorating my
you
house.
have immediately
I
given
got
them
some blue wallpaper
a
and some
point of impression.
posters
They
and
are
some
impressed with the fact that your name is at the bottom of a book, that you authored it.
I can see that.
And so it helps you build and grow your business if you're offering some B2B
I
type
love
stuff.
that.
It also helps you grow and build your
It's
business
about to be
if you're just
beautiful.
offering business, offering something to other individuals as well.
Who are you
But
talking
it
to?
is a point of impression.
Do you
Oh
have,
yeah, and that day you get your own book in the mail, even if it's some small thing you've done, it's a pretty awesome feeling, I have to say.
do you
So there
need
you go.
from every podcaster? Do you have to have permission from each podcaster to use their show notes?
Well, see, I write show notes for people for hire, and I don't publish the books. I just give them the show notes, and I consult with them and say, look, you've got enough now. You need to be considering publishing a book. And then if they want some editing services or they want me to refashion those notes, then I'll charge them for that as well. So it's another way for me, in a way, it's another way for me to monetize what I do. I can either consult with them and help them figure out where to get an editor closer to them, or how to go through the editing process themselves, the whole 9 yards. But for the most part, it is a way for me to help my customers monetize what they've already paid me for.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
But when you interview someone, hopefully you're sending them an email explaining that that content is yours. And
Yeah.
and if that content's yours, then it's yours to do what you want to with it. If you want to put it on a CD, you can put it on CD. If you want to put it on a podcast, you can put it on a podcast. If you want to transcribe it and put it into a collection of transcriptions, or a collection of book articles or chapters, then that's your prerogative to do so.
Well, I think I do have that in an initial email. I don't know how many people have read it.
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If it's in there, it doesn't matter. By their appearance, they have agreed to your terms.
Okay, well, thank you.
Charlotte, what's your show about?
I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners for them to tell their story of how they started their business and their failures and their highest entrepreneurial moments because I believe the important thing of all of us is to tell our stories. I was a consultant for 20 years helping people preserve their photos and their stories into albums, and so I've just kind of transitioned into that storytelling into the podcast.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Great stories, I do.
Steve, you got any questions? You've been quiet over there, buddy.
I think mainly I'm still trying to get my setup. I mean I'm literally trying to transition from these headphones to the whole. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
The mixer and the microphone setup.
Oh, nice mic.
So how it connects all in there, that's what I'm trying to figure out the last week or so.
Cool.
Oh man, that's way more than I want to think about. I have headphones and a microphone. That's it.
Yeah, same here.
Nothing.
I mean, I went through this whole thing with the New Dad Guide.
Yeah.
And then I lost I don't know, about 4.5 interviews because my computer crashed. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and it was just all this work that I put into it, and that was like 2.5 months worth. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I knew this was going to be down the line, and it's so now it's just figuring out how to put it together. And I've decided to not do the whole store it on my computer and do the whole recorder thing.
So you using like a Zoom or something, or what?
The Roland.
Yeah. RO5.
RO5, yeah. So it's just a matter of tying that in, and then also I think my other computer, that one that died, I resurrected it, but I can use that for Skype interviews,
Yeah.
or maybe this laptop that I have. So I'm going to need to tie one in and then tie it back and record it onto the RO5, but then send the audio back. But I don't think I have all the enough cables or the correct ones. So,
if you need some help, look me up on Skype or here on Google Plus or whatever. And if I can take some time, I'll share some time with you and help you get all the cables and connections that you need. And
yeah, absolutely. I think I'll take you up on that, because it's just a matter of correctly doing the mix minus thing, so that when folks are recorded, when I patch the audio from my computer to the mixer,
yeah,
I can cut out their voice and send it back to them. So I don't.
It's not very difficult. It's just it's getting your brain wrapped around how all that works. And
right.
Once you figure out how the audio chain works in each channel, then it becomes a little bit easier to accomplish. So that's no big deal. I actually use this. That's my audio mixer right there. It's a Yamaha USB audio interface, and basically what it does is it takes my microphone, which is this, and it plugs it into the back of this, provides me phantom power, and then I have another line-in input as well. But there are many different ways to play with audio in podcasting. I know a lot of folks do it like Regina and Chris said, and I don't know how Charlotte does it, but a lot of folks just do it with one microphone, a USB mic plugged into the computer, and record the Skype and everything through an Ecamm call recorder or a Pamela call recorder, and then just edit it inboard and everything else. But, as Stephen says, that's always running a risk, because if your computer crashes, then what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah, I keep all my stuff backed up on OneDrive.
Yeah, I was going to say, I also try to back it up on an external hard drive, too, that I keep.
I actually have my call recorder dumping it into my Dropbox.
Oh, that's a good idea, too.
So
I
when
didn't think
it records it into my Dropbox folder on my computer, and then Dropbox syncs it. So I've got it. So
nice.
That's a suggestion for you guys too. Charlotte, what are you using to do all your interviews with?
Well, I just have the USB, the headset plugs into the computer, and
Cool.
That's it.
So, Stephen, what model of mic was that? It's a pretty nice looking mic there.
That's the PR40.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
You moved it in and then moved it out real quick.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't identify it as
Hey, if you could send me one of those, that'd be great.
I have an Audio Technica AT2020. I'm unscrewing it from my mic stand right now. Hold on one second. If I can get it loose.
I was lucky. There was a Guitar Center that was having this huge sale, and that's actually a used one. I got it for like $125.
Oh, dude, you're sick.
Yeah.
This is an AT2020 condenser mic, Audio Technica. It's a nice little microphone. I got it for $89. Sounds great. Yeah. But
use that.
Ma'am?
You have to use that board that you showed us.
You have to have a way. This one is an XLR plug. They do make an AT2020 with a USB connection, so you can use it that way. But if you have the XLR, then yes, you're going to have some type of audio interface, USB audio interface.
Man, I don't even want to show you my mic.
That's all right. Look, when I started, I actually used a microphone that plugged into an iMic with a headphone. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, it does all right for what I need it for now, but I definitely plan on upgrading.
Yeah,
soon.
you've seen mine too, so.
Yeah, Regina's got a bare bones hookup. That'd be the best way to describe that, wouldn't it, Regina?
Pretty much, yeah. It's a USB. It's a Audio Technica. I can't remember the number behind it though, but bought it at Best Buy. Plugs in USB to the computer. Headphones plugs into the mic, and that's it.
And that's really all you have to have. I like Steven's idea because what that does is you can actually record it on a computer and on the external, and now you're saved either way. So, plus he's got a high-on microphone.
Yeah, I gotta learn how to hook it all up and get that or record that audio and patch it in. Now I got the mixer and everything, so yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, those mics sound great.
Yeah, was that a Behringer mic? I mean, Behringer mixer?
Yeah, it's Behringer's Z-Mix.
Yeah.
12. It's a USB.
Right.
Which hooks up into the computer. So, put all the settings on it. Yeah, that's what I'm learning right now.
Well, I'll try to help you with some of that. That's no problem. Well, any other questions? I'm about to have to go, so I can go upstairs and let my wife know that I love her.
Thank you for letting me jump in here. I knew that it was for news podcasters, but I wanted to see what it was like being on a handle. So I thank you for letting me join.
Well, cool. I'm glad you joined. Ryan just came in. Ryan, we're about to wrap up, but tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm gonna jump off, guys.
See you, Stephen. Thanks for coming.
See you.
Ryan, tell us a little bit about your podcast, buddy.
I really don't have I just have 4 pilot episodes that I'm gonna run. I'm just collecting 2 stories.
Yeah.
Just practicing interviews. Right now I'm just running a fitness podcast or fitness stories that I want to put together of some friends of mine. And that's kind of all I got right now.
That's all right. So, are you going to make a run for a long-term podcast, or what are you going to do?
Yeah, I do. I went through the 20-day free podcast course that Jolene Domas did.
Mike, okay?
All right.
Okay. I think it was Chris. I don't know if it's Chris or Regina's. So repeat that again, Ryan.
Oh yeah, I went through John Lee Dumas's 20-day or 20 podcast course.
Yeah,
and
his free podcast course.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then I just went through also Alex Bloomberg's Creative Life course on interviewing, and I just practiced doing 2 interviews with my wife about powerlifting meet. So I'm trying to stitch together. I'm trying to figure out how to man, the hardest part is editing and doing narration for what I want to do. Holy crap! Because I did it. So basically, that's what I want to do. I want to do some narration along with storytelling. Something that takes a lot of time. So that's kind of what I want to do.
Editing is always going to take you more time than you really want.
Right.
But let me give you a suggestion. Look up the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Spreaker. Called Podcasters. That's my podcast.
Okay.
And look up the interview I did with John Lee Dumas.
Okay.
And John Lee talks about his batch audio editing process.
Okay, cool.
And if you listen all the way to the end, there's a download that you can go to the URL I give you, and you can actually go to that download and get a very rough draft cheat sheet on how to edit like John Lee does.
What's the name of your podcast again?
Podcasters. The best thing to do is to type my name.
Oh, what's your name?
Philip Swindle into iTunes. And PHILLIP SWINDALL.
Okay, there you go.
And I've got one called Dick Newmy, and the other one's called The Podcasters. And you'll see the John Lee Dumas episode. It ran the end of February. But that way you'll get some good editing.
Oh, I see it. Right on.
Put them in my coat.
That's great. Yeah, thanks. I'll definitely look this up right now.
Cool. And so that way, you can get a little bit of help. Have you already launched? What's your plan, your schedule for launching?
I'm giving myself, I was going to say 3 months to get all these episodes done, but after I did this first edit, or at least 2 recordings of my wife, I don't know. I really have to. I'm still learning the ropes for Audition. I'm pretty good with Adobe Premiere. I actually have a YouTube channel already, so I kind of got that going for me. But then I just need to. I don't have a workflow yet for audio, because with videos is pretty simple for my workouts. They're like 5 to 7 minutes long. This is much longer, so I have to figure out narration. So I sort of kind of have where I'm. I mean, I want to do something long term. I mean, after listening to that 10-day course, those 20 podcasts, it was kind of like it's like you have to commit to it and just run hard for the first 8 weeks.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense to like test it. I mean, I've tested podcasts, but then it's not like this anyway.
Right. Well, and the thing is, and since you're into fitness, you understand those first few weeks are always the hardest, but it doesn't mean you ever stop. It just becomes easier because you're just getting used to the reps and everything.
Right.
So the cool thing is you will develop that muscle memory, so to speak, of editing and writing show notes and getting guests and scheduling it and building that workflow and the social marketing and all that. You can build that muscle memory pretty quickly. And
Right.
60 to 90 days is an excellent period of time in which to do all that. And like you said, you've already got a built-in audience with your YouTube crowd. So that'll help you with the platform building as well.
Right. So just trying to figure it out. I just got to get through this first edit, and I got like 2 more practice interviews I have with coworkers.
Yeah.
But I just gotta. I need to actually get through it. Because it's a long time. It's a long time. We listen to another 40 minutes and then figure out what you're gonna say in between. It's like, oh man, this is a big undertaking.
Well, as a former journalist, I'll tell you the easiest and best way to know what to ask next is to have already thought through the whole arc of where you want the story to go.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. I know, because when I do videos, I kind of know where I want things to go, but then with audio, I have no idea where it's going to go. And the hardest part is making it natural to like do the conversation, because I was doing the first edit, I kind of winging it. It was better because she had a lot more emotion with the stories that she was telling, and then the second time, the emotion wasn't as good, but it was easier to edit because I had it more planned out. So it's like, man. So after we got Creative Live with Alex Bloomberg, I was like, holy crap, this guy's hella good. This is hard.
Interviewing is very difficult. But the cool thing about interviewing is he who asks the questions controls the conversation.
Right.
And so you have to understand it is your role to control that conversation. And if you listen to John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneur on Fire, you will catch him from time to time saying, look, I've asked you now 3 times to tell me, your failure, and you won't tell me your failure. So the reason why I ask you that is because it helps me understand that they can overcome failure. So please tell us one way in which you have failed and how you overcame that.
Guide it really well.
You've got to guide that conversation. If you don't, it will run away from you so fast, and you'll never ever be able to drag it back.
I felt that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like it goes all the way to the left. You're like, where am I?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're going, crap. How do I get back to where I intended on being? Sometimes.
Yeah, Ryan. I did an interview with a guy connected with the Jim Jones cult from the 70s.
Oh wow.
And I had a set list of things that I wanted to ask him about. However, during the interview, I kept.
I'm hungry.
During the interview, I kept finding more rabbit holes to go down, and so I would just adapt my questions to what he was already talking about. If that's helpful to you at all.
So was it great?
Did you find yourself forgetting what you were going to ask or where you were going to go? Because then you're like.
Oh, absolutely. There's actually if you listen to the interview, the audio, which it's not posted anywhere, I'm just saying this for instance. If you listen to the audio, he's telling me one portion of the story, and he stops for a second, and I'm just like, wow, I literally just like blanked out on what I wanted to ask you because I'm so enthralled with what you're saying right now.
Well, that's one good way to fill the time, though, is to compliment them.
Yeah. Chris, let me ask a question. Was it grape or cherry Kool-Aid?
It was grape flavor aid.
I just wanted to know. I remember that story so vividly. I was in high school, well, junior high, and my dad's a pastor, so it was very interesting story for me. But yeah, that would have been a cool interview to have. And here's the answer to what happens when you get so deep into an interview that you don't know how to get out. And in advance, have a list of questions that you would like to have answered and carry that pad with you and check off when you ask a question.
Okay.
Whether you write any notes about what they say or not, check off those questions. It's always best to write some information, skip a few lines between the questions and then jot down some notes. That'll help you with show notes, by the way.
Right, okay.
And then what I always do is, as I get to those questions, I will put a 1 by the first one, a 2 by the second one, and then if I have like other questions in between, I will put like for 3, and let's say I asked 2 different questions that I didn't write down between 2 and 3, I'll put 2 little tick marks before the third one, and then write the number 3 by the question I asked that's on my list third.
Okay.
And so those little 2 tick marks remind me that there's 2 more questions and answers between number 2 and number 3. And number 2 may be way up here on my list,
okay. Yeah.
and number 3 way down here. And so if I do that, if I go 1, 2, and then jump down to the bottom of the page where number 3 is and go tick, tick, 3, then I know that 3 is actually question number 5.
All right.
And so it helps in the organization. It helps in editing. Let's say some of those questions you don't want answers to. Edit them out.
I see.
Problem. Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, right.
So, but that will help you stay on track with where you want to go.
Okay.
And it will also help you be able to keep your guest on track too at times.
Yeah, but there are some guests that just will not stay on track, no matter what you do.
I'll give you a good example. Listen to my interview with Vinny Tortorich. Vinny is hilarious. Vinny is brilliant. He has a huge podcast following as the angriest trainer. Vinny and I grew up at about the same time, and I grew up in southwest Mississippi. He grew up in the New Orleans area. He actually went to a basketball camp while I was in high school.
I'm almost done with Matt Pool, and I just started a few minutes ago.
And we actually could have bumped into each other. I didn't go to the basketball camps. I was only 5 foot even at the time. But we actually could have bumped into each other. We were so close to each other. And we talk about that a little bit. But Vinny, if you don't watch it, he will get carried away with the answers, and you just have to rein him in.
Okay.
And so listen to that one. You'll hear me lose it, and you'll hear me rein it back in.
Okay.
Hey, I know you're trying to wrap this up real quick, but I'd like to ask Regina a question real quick. I hear that you have children also.
Yes.
I have 4 kids of my own. How do you schedule your podcasting time within the framework of having kids?
Most of the time, especially for my interviews at least, they happen at night after the kids go to bed.
Okay, fair enough. That's what I do too.
Yeah. a lot of times my editing and stuff happens then too, but every once in a while I'll do some of that on the weekends. Because, if we have a free weekend where we're not doing anything, I'll go downstairs and just kind of edit and post and stuff. But yeah, late at night, staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever.
Fair enough. Same thing I do here. I was just making sure you didn't have any super crazy cool ways of.
Well, when I find that, I'll let you know.
Alrighty.
When you find that, you will be richer than John Lee Dumas.
Yeah, that'll be it.
We'll all be wanting to buy that. Well, guys, I want to thank you all. You are actually helping me create a product, and it's basically for launch. It's 60 days to launch, and I'm going to be coming out with it in the very near future. But you are helping me figure out different things that I need to address to help podcasting. So I want to thank you for that. And
thanks for helping. I appreciate it.
I hope I've offered some help.
Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled on the Facebook page I found you on initially, and hopefully we can do this again. This is fun.
Well, cool. Yeah, I want to do it a little bit more often as well. Yes, ma'am.
Cool. The guy I was talking to, you're only your initials show up, and I didn't catch your name. What's your first name?
Chris.
Chris. There we go.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it just says CJS, and I don't know your name.
Chris.
I want to connect with you, so we could talk Star Trek or something.
All right. Yeah.
So,
you can find me on Facebook at CJS0216.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what it says there. Awesome. I will check it out.
He's in a few of the podcast groups, by the way.
Million Podcasters Paradise?
I don't think
yes. That's the one I found you in.
Okay, cool. So he's in Paradise. Ryan, are you in any Facebook groups for podcasters?
No, this is actually the first one or maybe the second one I joined.
Okay. I would love to give you my affiliate link to Podcasters Paradise, but I'm joking. Podcasters Paradise is a pretty expensive product, but I'm going to tell you, the community you get from that is extremely beneficial.
It is. It's definitely been great.
If you would like to have a link to my affiliate link to Podcasters Paradise, inbox me on Facebook, and I'll send it to you. I'm being halfway satirical, but at the same time, there's no need for John Lee to make all the money.
Right. No.
right.
I know how it all works. I'm familiar with affiliate marketing and all of it. I've dabbled in all of it, so I know how it all works.
But I mean, I figured I might as well at least make a good joke out of it if I don't make a dollar out of it.
Yeah. You promised you wouldn't sell anything. There you go.
So,
I'm just teasing.
Just joking. Actually, I didn't on this one. I did on the one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to go upstairs and cuddle with my wife for about 8 hours.
Oh, right on, man.
Hey,
Good
Phil,
It's great chatting with you all.
Can you hang for a sec?
Yeah, I can. Let me stop broadcasting then.